Yeah, that's like perfect how they put that together.
Yeah, totally.
All right, I'm gonna pee and we'll start.
So that was with Ross Martin and Eric Dalio. Um, but then actually, strangely enough, that was when Bijou was married to Rondi, Christina, you know Rondi? And we actually had a Brazilian group where Bijou played guitar.
Oh, really?
And I played bass and Rondi sang, and we used to do like a lot of like restaurant gigs that way, if you could believe that. And like, what is the name of that? The Brazilian steakhouse downtown.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, that place used to have us all the time, and we would play some New Year's gigs there.
I kind of remembered that.
It's really random. And then, like, you know,
I
I
probably saw you play. I just didn't know. I didn't know.
yeah. Well, and I honestly, I hardly play at all right now. I've got an 8 and a 10-year-old, and very busy. I've worked in information security during the day, so Eric and I are always talking about computer stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, like that has kept me.
Yeah, that's.
One at this point, like I've just turned down so many gigs that like just no one calls me anymore because
Kind of out of the loop.
I'm not in the loop, and I kind of don't want to be in. Like
Well, I
once,
know. It's
once I retire from my day job, I'll start playing a lot more. I would love to get like a restaurant or jazz gig or something, you know, like something kind of just casual, like once or twice a week, just
Yeah,
for
so
standards.
just a, yeah, so it's not.
Because I just like
Oh, I'm sorry, I got one and I didn't get one for you guys.
I don't feel sharp. You know what I mean? Like my practicing is not.
I'll get you one of these later.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no worries.
For right now, you can kind of. Anyway, you ready?
Sure.
Okay,
I
cool.
think so. Wait. Let me.
Morning, everyone. Come on in back there. Sit down. Thank you. Good morning. I'm Helen Berkman, and with me is Andrea Mitchell, and we are 2 of the 6 members of the Finance Council here at First Unitarian. First Unitarian Society of Denver is an urban sanctuary for growing souls in love and service. And for nearly 150 years, we have been and still are a cornerstone of liberal religion and justice work in Denver. Whoever you are, whoever you love, whether you carry joy or sorrow in your heart, you are welcome here. We are so glad you have joined us, either online or in person today. Thank you for being here.
We look forward to getting to know you better, and we hope you find companions for your journey. After the service, if you'd like to chat, ask questions, or grab coffee, please join us for coffee hour in the community room. Helen and I will be at the opportunities table if you want to meet us, and members of our board of trustees will be having coffee in bright yellow mugs if you want to meet one of them. On Finance Council, as you can guess, we take care of your money. We have a monthly meeting to discuss investments, operating funds, and most importantly, to develop and present a budget to be approved by the congregation every year. Our fiscal year is July 1 through June 30th, so we have already started the process for the budget to be presented at the annual meeting on Sunday, June 4th. Put that on your calendar. Mark that on your calendar now because we want all of you to be at the annual meeting.
I want to give a special shout out to 2 members of our Finance Council who do the real work of managing our investments, making payroll, keeping the accounts in order, paying the bills. David Keller, our treasurer, and Sally Isaacson, our assistant treasurer. Stand up, you guys. Where's Sally? Please stop and see us at the opportunities table to say hi. We have donuts. And you will learn about all the dozens of other opportunities available here for you to get involved, meet new people, have fun, and make connections.
And look at numbers.
And I'll have a copy of the summary of our current budget, an annual report from last year. You can kind of get a feel for what's going on with our budget and our finances, and so you can be kind of ready in a couple weeks from now when we have Stewardship Sunday. Please check the back of the order of service and our weekly first announce for upcoming events and other announcements. Now, please silence your cell phones so we can be fully present to enjoy the service. And take a minute now to turn and greet your neighbors and friends.
Good morning. Welcome here. Would you please join me? Welcome one and all, no matter where you are or who you are. You are welcome here, particularly if this is your first or second time here, we welcome you. Would you all please join me in singing our song of welcome? We are many, we are one, the light of the world is within you. Sacred and worthy is your soul, a place has been made for you. Welcome, one and all.
Good morning, First Unitarian. My name is Nate, and it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to worship with us this morning. Whoever you are, wherever you are from, whoever you love, and whatever you carry in your heart on this day, You are welcome, you are wanted, and you are an irreplaceable part of our gathering. The words for our call to worship were written by Rebecca Ann Parker. Even when our hearts are broken by our own failure or the failure of others cutting into our lives, even when we have done all we can and life is still broken, there is a universal love that has never broken faith with us and never will.
Good morning. It's so nice to see all of you, and all of you can see each other. Yeah? That's super awesome. I'm Erin Kenworthy, your Director of Religious Exploration, and this is our time for all ages. So if you're young or young at heart, or you just want to get up here closer, we are going to read a story today, and if you want to see the pictures, being up here is a great place to be for that. Matt is going to read the story because he's way better at reading stories than I am. And before he does that, I just wanted to let you know, there's a holiday coming up this week called Valentine's Day, yes. So we could have told a story this morning about this old holiday called Lupercalia, or we could have told you the story of the actual Saint Valentine, but both of those are fairly violent stories. Yeah. So we decided to skip it for this morning and instead focus in on what we all associate with the holiday, which is the emotion and the feeling of love. And so this morning we are reading one of my favorite books, Love Monster, and I'm going to hold the microphone, an important job, so that Matt can read to you. All set, Matt?
Yeah. Good morning. So this is Love Monster by Rachel Bright, and if you've never seen me read a story before, I have to look at the pages to read them, but then I'll show everybody. This is a monster. Hello, monster. I think you all agree he's a little bit funny looking, to say the least. He lives in a world of cute, fluffy things. Official pile of extreme cuteness. Which makes being funny looking pretty darn hard. You might have noticed that everybody loves kittens and puppies and bunnies. You know, cute, fluffy things. But nobody loves a slightly hairy, I suppose a bit googly-eyed monster. Poor monster. This might be enough to make a monster feel, well, a bit down in the dumps. But not being the moping around sort, he decided to set out and look for someone who'd love him just the way he was. He looked high. He looked low. He looked middle-ish. He looked inside. And outside. More than once, he thought that maybe, just maybe, he'd found what he was looking for. But as it turned out, things were never quite as they seemed. Yes, it would be fair to say that his search did not go well. And then, it didn't go well some more. It didn't go well for such a long time, in fact, that it began to get dark and scary and, well, not very nice. So the monster, having lost all his oomph, decided it was time to give up and go home. But in the blink of a googly eye, everything changed. If it's hard to see back there, there happens to be another monster coming off of the bus. I know. You see, sometimes when you least expect it, love finds you.
We are so glad that you found yourselves here this morning to be with us. And I would invite all of you to please join us in singing our children out to their RE programming this morning. Thanks.
Would you please rise in body and or spirit and join me in singing out of the great hymnal number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. The words will also be on the screens behind me. Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess and striving so my love profess, but not begin by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed.
Hello, my name is Beth Neva. I've been active in FUSD social justice issues since the early 1970s, and it is with sincere gratitude to our congregation for its generosity to our reparations commitment, which grew out of our minister Mike Morran's initiation, and to Trudy Glidden's, Peggy Ulrich Nims, Julie Myers, and David Alley's efforts over the past 10 years, that we are here today to provide our support for the Denver Black Reparations Council's work with the Denver Black community. Thank you all for putting our money where our mouth is.
Hi, my name is Peggy Ulrich Nims. I'm a past co-chair of the FUSD Racial Justice Project, along with Julie Myers, who is here. Also here is Trudy Glidden, who has been an important partner with us in this project. I also want to mention David Alley, who has spurred us and helped us think first about reparations. And finally, I want to introduce Harold Fields, who's here from the Denver Black Reparations Council, and you just met Beth Neva. The work of the Racial Justice Project, since the congregation approved it in 2016, has been dedicated to the racial justice for Black Americans. This work has been energized by so many of you, resulting in the Reparations Fund, which we are honoring and recognizing today. Great thanks go to Patrick Horton and Steve Brainerd for their marvelous leadership in establishing this fund. All of this recent work rests on the efforts of over 7 decades, probably more, of our fellow UUs here at First Unitarian Society of Denver. While we are thanking you today for your tremendous generosity, we want to remember and honor those many others before us on whose shoulders we stand. That includes those of the 1960s civil rights movement who helped establish right here in this building the Denver chapter of the Congress of Racial Equality, or CORE, and who led sit-ins and protests to increase Black employment at major Denver retailers such as the Denver Dry Store. It also includes those who worked so very hard in the late 1960s and early 70s to establish a Black-run mountain center retreat. Also those who in the same period pressed the UUA to empower Black UUs, and those in the more recent decades who have led justice and social justice projects and educational efforts, including workshops, speakers, movies, and book discussions, as well as potlucks on Sunday afternoon. Finally, I have to, and want very badly to mention Reverend Mike Morran, who has been for 20 years guiding and spurring us to find places where we can work towards social and racial justice. Many of, you'll have to pardon me, I'm so visually impaired I can't even read my own writing. Clearly FUSD has a long and extensive history of racial justice work, of which this Reparations Fund is a major an additional step, and perhaps even a model for other organizations. I'd like to hope and believe that this work of today will form the foundation for our next steps towards racial healing and justice.
Hi, I'm Julie Myers. As Peggy said, we were prior co-chairs of the Racial Justice Project here. And I also just wanted to welcome to our congregation today Lottie Liebdula and Tad Kelly, who are part of the Reparations Council of Denver. And we have been helping, besides this congregation, to raise other funds for the Denver Black Reparations Council. We are so fortunate to be able to develop a connection with the Denver Black Reparations Council. They are doing the boots on the ground work of connecting our reparations money to Black organizations doing important work in the community. The money that you donated to do this reparations work is in their good hands. They will use their process to award grants. They will let us know who is selected to receive these grants. And then it's up to us to decide how we want to engage these organizations with our time and talents. This first step of making reparations must not stop with writing a check. We want to engage with the grant recipients and continue the repair owed them. So it is with great joy and honor that I hand, symbolically, a transfer of $22,000 from FUSD to Harold Fields. $220,000, see? Sorry. Like Peggy's vision is impaired, my writing is impaired right now. And I'm symbolically transferring this to Harold Fields, who has honored us with his presence as a representative and founder of the Denver Black Reparations Council. Harold?
Good morning. I know we're all familiar with inflation right now, but that sounded I'm Harold Fields, and I'm so honored to be here. I want to thank FUSD for trusting us with this money and with the energy that you have generated over a long period of time. I used to, about 2 decades ago, I spent a couple of years engaging members of this congregation in dialogues back in the corner, way back over there. And it's just wonderful to see the fruits of our labor in terms of all the things that all of us have done over time coming to fruition. I think it's significant that this is being given to us during Black History Month. Many of us begin to think of this as Black Futures Month because we are trying to combine the energy of what happened in the past, but with the energy that we are generating together to go to a different place in the future. And so I encourage you, when you think about these things, think about what it would be like differently in the future. So one of the questions we wrestle with at DBRC and at the Reparations Circle Denver as well is, how will we know when reparations is complete? How will we know when the healing is done and the community is whole? That's the image that we need to keep in mind so that we can say, yes, we are complete, we are whole, we have made things happen the way we want to do. But I think it's important to recognize that it's a collaborative effort. When we are all said and done, we want members of this congregation to feel like they have learned and they have gained as well. It's not the traditional philanthropy of just giving money away, but it's the engagement, it's a co-creation, it's a co-commitment. So I want to thank you on behalf of DBRC and the Black community of Denver for the work that you have done and will continue to do. Thank you very much.
Hi, how are you guys doing this morning?
We're good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. I think that Harold and Beth and Peggy and Julie all said it very well. I would only add this little piece. When we think back on the history of our country, we can see that there are pieces missing in that history when it's told often to our children. I think that it's really important for us to be doing this work in this way because, as Harold was saying, we're not just talking about looking back to history. We're talking about looking forward. We're talking about looking into a future in which our children know so much more about what has happened in this country, how this country was built, and who were the people building it. I think it's really critical at this point, as we look at the dollars that you are giving us, that we, the Denver Black Reparations Council and the Reparations Circle Denver, can come back to you and assure you that we use these dollars in ways that make a difference. I think it's really critical here also to speak to the idea of how reparations will make that happen. I really believe ultimately that the way it will happen in our country and around this world is by people like us standing shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, and letting the rest of the world know we're not going to stop this. We're not going to stop moving forward. We're not going to stop coming to an understanding of each other and the way in which we can make this world a better place. So thank you very much for this, and I really appreciate the opportunity to say a few words, and I look forward to working with you all in the future.
You probably have guessed why I'm up here. Done this 1 or 2 times before. I'm Sally Isaacson, and I'm your assistant treasurer, which means I do all the work, and David gets all the credit. But I did want to say that this week has been just a tad humbling. Probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was in a deep discussion with someone I was just meeting. Not a new member, but somebody I was just meeting. And we talked, and I found lots of things we agreed on, and I suggested that I call them and we have lunch. Well, then some time passed. And I sat there going, oh, what was her name? Well, I sort of came up with about 7 possibilities. And so then I went to Breeze because I was going to find her picture and I would immediately know her name. Guess what? Most of the pictures are gray outlines. Gray outlines. No smiling faces, no sparkling eyes, gray outlines. Now, it's easy as pie to make your picture get into Breeze. And so I'm urging you all to do that in the next week. The instructions are there. It's very simple. Selfie, and on we go. So that was one comment. If you are the person I was wonderfully having a conversation with, would you please find me again? Because I don't do well in current memories, but boy, I know the name of the guy who sat next to me in 5th to 8th grades. And if you know Pete Zito, tell him I'm here. So now is the time to try to remember that we have $1 or $2 in our purses, pocketbooks, and wallets, and toss them into the basket that Beverly's going to be passing around. We so thank you for being here, for being part of our community, and for supporting us financially. Thank you.
So we have an auction coming up. It's May 6th for those of you who like to plan. Every year in our auction, we offer song requests. And this morning, we are fulfilling one of those song requests from last year's auction. This song was requested by Cindy Robertson. She is at home watching. Hi, Cindy. So this is Everything Changes for Cindy.
Today's a day like any other, but I am changed, I am a mother, oh, in an instant. And who I was has disappeared, it doesn't matter, now you're here. a pair of eyes, an unsung melody is mine for safekeeping, and I will guard it with my life. I'd hang the moon for it to shine on her sleeping. Starting here and starting now, I can feel the heart of how everything changes. My heart's at the wheel now, and all my mistakes, they make sense when I turn them around. Everything changes. What I thought was so permanent fades, and I swear I'll remember to say we were both born today. Oh, and it's true. What did I do to deserve you? I didn't know, but now I see what meant to be is meant to be. You saved me. My blurry lines, my messy life come into focus, and in time, maybe I can heal and I can breathe, 'cause I can feel myself believe that everything changes. My heart's at the wheel now, and all my mistakes, they make sense when I turn them around. Everything changes. What I thought was so permanent fades, and I swear I'll remember to say we were both born today. Oh, and it's true. What did I do to deserve you? Thank God for you.
Brings me the basket so I can say a few words, but thank you for your contributions. Your contributions freely given are gratefully received. Thank you. A few joys and concerns of our larger community. We had several birthdays this past week. I want to hold up Sally Ortiz, who had a birthday, and Leah Davis had a birthday. And I believe this very day is Janet Kennedy's birthday. And Nan? Okay. And Nan Wigington's birthday. Anybody else have a birthday? And Helen Berkman. Happy birthday, everybody. Everybody. I regret to let you know that Marion Rex, who was a longtime member of this congregation, she moved away probably about 12 years ago, but she was a member here for many years. Marion passed away this past week. There are apparently no plans for a memorial by her own request, but I know many folks here knew her well and remember her very fondly. And lastly, I just need to hold up the nearly incomprehensible amount of destruction that happened in Turkey this past week. I understand the numbers of fatality are nearing 30,000. That just seems astronomical to me. Hundreds of thousands injured, tens of thousands homeless, without safe places to be indoors in the winter. May the world have mercy on that, on those poor people. Sudan. Thank you. Our prayer today kind of hopefully set up where I'm going to go with the sermon in a little while. Something I adapted lightly from Leo Buscaglia. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out is to risk involvement. To laugh is to risk appearing a fool. To show your feelings is to risk showing your true self. To speak out loud your ideas and dreams is to risk ridicule. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying. To hope is to risk disappointment. To try is to risk failure. But risks must be taken. Because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, is nothing. You may avoid ridicule, exposure, involvement, appearing a fool, or not being loved in return, but you cannot learn, cannot grow, cannot have connection. Chained by risking nothing, you forfeit your freedom. Only a person who risks is free. Amen.
We're being joined by Mr. Eric Moon. He didn't make it into the order of service.
Close to you, baby, but I'm so far away. There's a silence between us, and there's so much to say. You're my strength, you're my weakness, you're my faith, you're my doubt. We gotta meet in the middle to work this thing out. More love, I can hear our hearts crying. More love, I know that's all we need. More love to flow in between us, to take us and hold us, and lift us above. If there's ever an answer, it's more love. We're afraid to be idle, so we fill up the days. Run on the treadmill, keep slaving away, till there's no time for talking about trouble in mind, and the doors are all closed between your heart and mine. More love, I can hear our hearts crying. More love, I know that's all we need. More love to flow in between us, to take us and hold us, and lift us above. If there's ever an answer, it's more love. people fighting their wars. They think they'll be happy when they've settled their scores. Let's lay down our weapons that hold us apart. Be still for just a moment, try to open our hearts. More love, I can hear our hearts crying. More love, I know that's all we need. More love to flow in between us, to take us and hold us, and lift us above. If there's ever an answer, it's more love. I can hear our hearts crying. More love, I know that's all we need. More love to flow in between us, to take us and hold us, lift us above. If there's ever an answer, it's more love.
Good morning, First Unitarian. If you want to, stand and stretch. We've been sitting for a while. If you'd like to. I want to start out with a probably my favorite poem about love. This is by Mary Oliver. You are young, so you think you know everything. You leap into the boat and begin rowing, but listen to me. Without fanfare, without embarrassment, without any doubt, I talk directly to your soul. Listen to me. Lift the oars from the water. Let your arms rest, and your heart's little intelligence, and listen to me. There is life without love. It's not worth a bent penny or a scuffed shoe. It is not worth the body of a dead dog 9 days unburied. When you hear, a mile away and still out of sight, the churn of the water as it begins to swirl and roil, fretting about the sharp rocks, when you hear that unmistakable pounding, when you feel the mist on your mouth and sense ahead the embattlement, the long falls plunging and steaming, then row. Row for your life toward it. So, once upon a time, I believe I was 17. I was browsing through a used bookstore in Chicago somewhere, and I came across a small pink paperback called The Art of Loving by Erich Fromm. I bought that book immediately and brought it home to the privacy of my bedroom, fully expecting some enlightened additions to what I hoped at the time was a growing repertoire of style and technique. And just about as immediately, I lost interest in that book when I discovered it had nothing whatsoever to do with sex. Oh, the ways of youth. And as I sometimes joke, as I get older, I am more and more convinced that youth is a wonderful thing, maybe mostly because it's such a relief to get over it. The wise words from 1 Corinthians 2,000 years later are still wise counsel. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put away childish things. And although my understanding of love and loving has evolved in ways that the 17-year-old that I used to be could not even have begun to comprehend, that information was just not available to that young man. I am still no expert on the art of loving. I just want to be clear about that. The wise words from the Bible continue and set out a much deeper and a much more challenging ideal. For now, we see in a mirror dimly. Now, I know only in part. Then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love abide, these three. And the greatest of these is love. Looking back, the ignorance of my 17-year-old self was as vast as the sky. And in my better moments, even now, I hope when I look back at my current self in 10 years or so, I think about the same thing. That my ignorance today is still as vast as the sky. I hope I'm wiser then. I hope I'm willing to risk the things that will make me wiser by the time I get there. I hope I'm willing to risk. I know people who are adept at loving, who do it easily and beautifully. That's one of the ways I know that I'm not one of them. I just want to be clear as I riff on love this morning that I'm not claiming any special knowledge about the subject or any special expertise, but that I go along, as I suspect most of us do, as we slowly mature and slowly grow up, aware that I have ambitions, big ambitions maybe, but only bumbling skill. The truth is I have stumbled into or even banged my forehead on most of what I have learned about love in my lifetime rather than having uncovered it with any skill or intention. Anybody else in that boat? Back to Eric Fromm, who I eventually went back to and actually read that little book. He explains in detail some of the problems with modern notions of love. For starters, he says, we tend to understand, and I quote here, that the problem of love is primarily that of being loved rather than that of loving. And if you start with that assumption, that the problem of love is one of being loved, well, then it follows that to solve the problem, we have to make ourselves more lovable. That is, we have to package ourselves somehow, even if deeply subconsciously in some culturally calculated way, both physically in terms of how we look and dress, but also socially, how we talk, how we act, how we behave, who our friends are, where we spend our time, how successful we are, and so on, all in keeping with the norms of our social class or our social community. None of these things are inherently bad. It's just that they take up enormous amounts of energy. They are not necessarily authentic reflections of who we are, and they have absolutely nothing to do with the emotional or spiritual truth of loving. Another error is the tendency to think that loving someone is simple. and that the hard part is finding the right person or object to love. The underlying assumption to this error is that we're somehow born with innate abilities to love well, like maybe the same way geese are born with an innate navigation system. We still believe that, even despite the evidence. This leads to assume that loving isn't something we need to learn more about or develop any skill at, and all we really need to work on is getting or keeping the object of our desires. Still another obstacle is we tend to approach our intimate relationships with a little bit of a consumer attitude. All right? I see this all the time, especially in younger people, and if I'm honest, I see it in myself now and then. I'll meet your needs if you meet mine, or some other attitude of negotiation or bargaining or tit for tat. The underlying premise, if you look at that, makes the quality and continuity of our loving dependent on the reciprocal behavior of the other person, actually locates responsibility for our loving in them, rather than within us, where it belongs, of course. And finally, from notes in that wonderful little book, we have a tendency to confuse loving. This was my 17-year-old self. We have a tendency to confuse loving with those absolutely wonderful but fleeting moments of intense intimacy, emotional or sexual. Fromm says, I think this is cute, that the importance that any individual might place on such an experience says much more about how lonely they were beforehand than it does about the quality of love that might come after. And all this, right, this is this great stuff of human drama. All of it, right? Think of the thousands of songs, novels, ancient myths, modern movies, whole realms of psychotherapy. Entire industries that revolve around these assumptions about love and the disappointment, the loneliness, the disillusionment, and the possibly mythical, ever so rare, happily ever after resolutions of idealized legends of love. Mandy Catrone writes about love in one of her posts. She waxes about language and starts with the way we use the verb falling in love. When she thinks about this metaphor, she pictures something right out of a cartoon, right? Someone's walking along the sidewalk and blindly across a manhole and falls right out of sight into the sewer. She writes, falling is accidental. It's uncontrollable. It's something that happens without our consent. And this is the way we talk about starting a new relationship. Our metaphors equate the experience of loving someone to extreme violence or illness. We fall, we swoon, we have a crush. They position us as victims of the unforeseen and unavoidable circumstances. My favorite one of these is smitten, which is the past participle of smite. And if you look this up, it has two definitions. One is grievous affliction, and the other is to be very much in love. Interesting, smite happens to be quite popular in the Old Testament. In Exodus alone, 16 references to smiting, vengeance from an angry God. The same word we use to talk about love we use to explain a biblical plague of locusts. Other common words for love are madness and crazy. William Shakespeare, love is merely a madness. Or Friedrich Nietzsche, there is always some madness in love. Or the great philosopher Beyonce Knowles, got me looking so crazy in love. According to Wikipedia, there are 8 movies, 1 TV show, 1 novel, 3 albums, and 15 songs that all have the name Crazy Love. In Care of the Soul, Thomas More writes, we always expect love to be healing and whole, and then are astonished to find it can create hollow gaps and empty failures. Our love of love and our high expectations that it will somehow make life complete seem to be an integral part of the experience. Now, if you caught that, Thomas More used that dangerous word, expectations. Reverend Roger Fritz wrote, I've seen great importance attached to declarations of love. I've seen the word love worshipped on a pedestal like a golden calf. In my role as a minister, I've heard people say, yes, I made a mistake. Yes, I was rude. Yes, I was late for dinner. Yes, I made love to another person. Yes, I got drunk, but I still love my partner with all my heart. The symbol can sustain the relationship long after the substance is gone. However, mature love dwells in substance, not in symbol. Mature love exists in behavior, not in rhetoric. The essence of love is an uplifting and constructive action toward another person. Love is an act, a deed, a happening, a daily demonstration. The substance replaces the symbol, and we move toward an experience beyond words. Which feels powerfully true to me. Saying, for example, that I love my children doesn't even begin to describe the vastness and complexity of my feelings towards my children. Using love to describe how deeply my precious partner Tammy is woven into the very fabric of my existence after 28 years of marriage feels so inadequate that it's laughable. It's so much more encompassing than that. It could be encompassed in a word like love. It's wonderful, and it's fun, and it's life-giving, but it's also been really hard. Sometimes excruciating. And I know she would say the same. The writer and essayist Kurt Vonnegut wrote, "Love is for Romeo and Juliet. I'm to love my neighbor? How do I do that when I'm not even speaking to my wife and kids today?" My wife said to me the other day after a knockdown, drag-out fight about interior decorating, "I don't love you anymore." I said to her, "So what else is new?" She really didn't love me then. That's perfectly normal. She will love me some other time, I think. I hope. If she'd wanted to terminate the marriage, Vonnegut continues, to carry it past the point of no return, she would have had to say, "I don't respect you anymore." Oh, thank you so much. I love you. I love you too. This is Vonnegut still. One of the many American catastrophes going on right now, along with religious revival and plutonium, is all the people getting divorced because they don't love each other anymore. That's like trading in a car when the ashtray is full. I like to think that Jesus actually said in Aramaic, "You shall respect one another." That would be a sign he really wanted to help us here on earth, not just in the afterlife. Here's what I'd like to leave you with today. When I officiate a wedding, and I've done well over 100 weddings, there's a couple of people I married right there. When I officiate a wedding, At the reception, I usually leave a card prepared in the basket, if they have one, or on the table where people leave their wedding gifts. And inside, I have written the best advice that I know of. And it reads, it's varied over the years, but it reads pretty much like this. Dear so-and-so and so, dear Chris and Liz, as the minister of your wedding, there are two things I urge you to remember as the days go by, days that will turn to weeks and to years of being together. The first is to trust in the truth that is within you. Beyond words and even beyond understanding is a sense within you of what is right and what is wrong and what is good that comes from the deepest inner reaches of your being and your soul. It is recognizable by the fact that actions and words that originate from that place within you are connective and empowering and life-giving to yourself and to those around you. Acting from that place of truth breaks down barriers. It creates trust. It leads to a deep and wordless knowledge that you are, as you should be, a part of something infinitely larger than yourself. Speaking or acting in opposition to that truth can only diminish your own life and the lives of those around you. That does not mean truth is easy. The truth hurts is a cliche that is too often true, but like all cliches, it is incomplete. Truth is larger than pain or discomfort. Speaking truth and acting truth can also be difficult because it can appear to go against all common sense, like initiating conflict with a trusted friend or risking the safety of familiarity in pursuit of a dream. Despite this, acting from truth always results in a life and a spirit more whole, more connected, and with a greater capacity to love. And this is the second thing I urge you to remember. You have love. More than that, deep within yourself, love is your essence, it is your nature, and your purpose. You are love, and your challenge in life and in relationship is twofold. It is this: speak the truth. Speak it with love. To speak truth without love is to make words into weapons. To pretend love without truth is not love. It is a flimsy invitation. It is false cover for a soul in pain. Speak the truth. Speak it with love. Your task in life and in relationship is this simple, and it is this difficult. Dig deep. Forgive readily and often. Remember that when you laugh at yourself, God and the universe laugh with you, and this may be the purest form of prayer. I wish you clarity, courage, and blessings in your soul. Amen.
doing our closing affirmation.
That makes us one, binds us forever together throughout all time, through life and death, and the space between the stars, throughout all time, through life and death, and the space between the stars.
Friends, in a round world, what goes around comes around. Circles and cycles of stars, seasons of growth and decay, birth and death, and unexpected resurrection. You and I and we are inextricably connected to all that is and was and ever will be. Amen. Our service is ended. Go in peace.